He sat in that church for 20 years. We warned you that he obviously took it all in like a sponge. He could have walked out at any time and never gone back. He could have gone to a mainstream church, but he sat there. I'm not going to replay Reverend Wright's broadsides against white America. I tried to do it before the election, and I was making headway with it, as were many others in the radio business. But John McShane, obviously listening to the chicks in his household, told us never to play those tapes again. Every time someone at a town hall meeting would say that Obama's a Muslim, he would say, no, he's a nice young fella. You don't remember any of this? I do. Blame McShane. McShane ought to leave the country for what he's done to this country. But I don't want to waste my time on John McShane. This man, if he thinks he's going to run again, he's mistaken. He'll never win. He'll get nowhere. As of this time right now, I'll tell you right now, I'm a Romney person. I'll tell you right off the bat. And there's a couple of reasons. There's areas I don't agree with him on. I'm never going to agree with everyone and everything because I'm a hardcore conservative, and there are no politicians in the mainstream who are. I understand that. I don't expect 100%, but give me an 80. Give me 80% of what I believe in. How about borders, language, and culture? I'll start with that, and we'll let the rest go. None of the others meet it. The man is a billionaire who made it on his own, made his own money. Okay? He's a family man. He's a clean family man. I don't want to waste a lot of time on this right now, but that's where I'm heading. There's not one other candidate who could defeat Obama. He's the only one, and that's why I'm going to tell you right now, we got to get started early on this. I don't even know if he's running. I haven't heard from him. He also knows the threat from the Islamo-fascist world better than anybody. Now, why other Christians so hate Mormons, I'll never understand. I don't understand it. I'll never understand that kind of debasement of another person's religion. I think a person's religion is their business. I've said that from the beginning. I went up to Harry Reid at a boxing match in Las Vegas. I don't know, was it 2 years ago? I think it was the first Hatton fight, and he was sitting there. I'd never met him. Now, here's Harry Reid on the total opposite side of the fence from Michael Savage. He didn't know me. I mean, by face, he certainly didn't know me. I saw him up in the stands, and during a break in the rounds, foolishly, I ran up like 12 flights. I was sitting 3 rows back from the ring. He was like 12 rows up. I think he was sitting next to a very famous man, who I'll let that one go. I know he was. And I said, Senator Reid, yes, this is Michael Savage, talk show host. He says, how do you do? And we talked, and I don't know what I said to him, something like, are you a Mormon? And his head turned. I said, well, that's very nice. I said, how many children do you have? I said, the reason I raised the issue of are you a Mormon, because I don't understand why people are attacking you for your religion. Attack him for his politics, not his religion. How come no one attacked Obama for his religious beliefs? How come that was off duty? Why is it that the very people who attacked Romney and sneered at Romney had nothing to say about Obama's years in a Muslim country, the fact that both of his fathers were Muslim? How come not one word was allowed to be said about that? Well, you know the answer to that. I think it's very dangerous to attack a candidate because of his religion. I have on my website a cartoon for you to show your children. On the third down, you have to see this one. It says, why do you have that boring tattoo? Someone sent it to me this morning. It can make you cry. It shows a little cartoon kid sitting next to an old man who has numbers on his hand, and it was for the Holocaust Day. And the kid says, I've got to tell you, mister, that's an awfully boring tattoo on your arm. It's just a bunch of numbers. And the old man says, well, I was about your age when I got it, and I kept it as a reminder. The kid says, oh, a reminder of happier days? The old man looks at the kid and says, no, of a time when the world went mad. He says, imagine yourself in a land where your countrymen followed the voice of political extremists who didn't like your religion. Imagine having everything taken from you, your entire family sent to a concentration camp as slave laborers, then systematically murdered. In this place, they even take your name and replace it with a number that tattooed on your arm. It was called the Holocaust when millions of people perished just because of their faith. The next shows a child crying. The next cartoon shows the child crying next to the man and him looking at her with the arm. So she says to him, so you kept it to remind yourself about the dangers of political extremism? And the man says, no, my dear, to remind you. No, my dear, to remind you. So when you target a person's religion, as the media did to Romney, that's the same kind of religious extremism that led to the death camps in which Jews and Catholics who stood up to Hitler were exterminated. I don't think you understand where this came from. It started with, of course, attacking the Jews. Where's it going to start here with attacking Mormons because you don't believe in their beliefs? That's really the kind of political extremism that I worry about in this country. The smart little Alex, the so-called liberals who attacked Mormon. And one in particular was the most vicious. It was one of the most facile men in the history of the American media. That softball, I can't stand him. He makes my flesh crawl. That fraud on MSLGBT. They tolerate him, the LGBT types, because he approves of their ways. But make no mistake about it, MSLGBT has become a laughingstock. And the only reason MSLGBT and NBC and CNBC are allowed to go further to the left every day supporting Obama so slavishly is because the head of General Electric, which owns all these NBC affiliates, Mr. Smelt is going to get nearly several trillion dollars in contracts around the world for General Electric in so-called clean energy, biofuels, windmills, whatever, through the Obama administration. Don't you see how money works? That's why Obama is spending $2 trillion more than the $1 trillion debt he inherited. He's spreading the money around to buy favors everywhere you turn. It's how every other dictatorship emerged. Every dictatorship on this earth that was not enacted through an act of war or an act of rebellion was enacted through money. I studied the rise of Mussolini and the rise of Hitler. They didn't just come out of nowhere. Hitler created jobs. Hitler bought his power by giving jobs to members of the Nazi Party. Not everyone loved Hitler in the beginning, but he gave them jobs. He had hope. He had hope for change. Savage. WIN.